Hello and welcome to Northern BC Moments here on CKPG-TV. I'm Caden Fanshaw, happy to be bringing you a special presentation here on the CKPG News, where we take a look back at some of the lighter moments from over the past year. We're doing this today from a site that's had its fair share of Northern BC moments over the years as well, the Caledonia Nordic Ski Park here just outside of Prince George. And we start today's show with something that's hard to forget, a special moment for not only Prince George but for our country. The first ever medalist at the Olympics, Marietta O'Dine from Prince George, took home a bronze medal, and when the city welcomed her back, it was quite the celebration.
Even Mother Nature was in on the celebration.
The snow was just on time. We planned this.
On Saturday, Canada Games Plaza was filled up with hundreds of people as the city of Prince George recognized and celebrated the accomplishments of Marietta O'Dine. Recently celebrating her 25th birthday, the city's first ever Olympic medalist returned home after winning 2 bronze medals at the recent Beijing Olympics. Her first came in the individual women's snowboard cross event, and her second was in the mixed team event. O'Dine expressed her commitment in staying in Prince George to train and develop, and offered words of encouragement to those in attendance.
You can always prove to yourself that there's so much more to reach for, and there's always going to be people that are going to try and slow you down. Follow your dreams and work hard, and you can achieve anything that you absolutely want. Thank you guys so much for coming out.
When so many athletes have left town to receive training elsewhere, O'Dine is one of few who have remained true to her roots and grinded through the criticism, and the result is 2 medals around her neck and an abundance of inspired athletes.
Dude, this is crazy. Like, she's from PG. She is from sports school. I'm in sports school. It was just crazy to see, like, hey, someone from PG, she's out there representing herself in the world stage at the Olympics. It was really cool to see. Gave me lots of confidence in myself.
And her story will go on to inspire the next generation.
You know, she said it all happened at Tabor Mountain. It's because of Tabor Mountain Ski Hill that really at the end of the day has made her what she is today, and that's a world-class athlete. And that really resonates with me, resonates with the community, and it says to athletes here, you don't necessarily have to go away. We hold world-class events here. We have world-class facilities, and you can stay at home. You can stay home and train and become the athlete that she has become. So it is pretty inspiring.
Prince George was definitely the center for a lot of celebration this year, but it was also the place for a few folks to get a fresh start on life. I'm talking about the Ukrainians who arrived in Prince George this year, and we were there when one of the first families landed at YXS. Anthony Correa shares this special moment for us now on Northern BC Moments.
This was the scene at YXS Tuesday morning when Lilia Huzenko, Olena Kramarenko, and her 2 children arrived on a flight from Vancouver, greeted by citizens showing support for the family.
I have not planned for this, if true, but I don't know how long war will be in Ukraine, and how, I don't know really. I just want to save place for a few time for my children. But if this time will be a long time, I must to go to study here and begin my life again.
The grandmother, mother, daughter, and son chose to flee Ukraine due to the Russian invasion. A hard choice to make, leaving your homeland and even your family.
Hard because my husband stays in Ukraine, and it's more hard questions for me.
Share Hope is an organization in Prince George that helps settle and sponsor refugees. The organization has been active for almost 9 years, and back in 2016 they helped bring a Syrian family to the city to help them escape from their war-ridden country. Eva Gillis, the chair of the committee, hopes they can help more families overseas and knows Prince George is a great place to do it.
The people of Prince George are warm-hearted and generous. We've seen that year after year after year, and it's no different now. I cannot believe how many people have called to open their homes. They're willing to share their homes and to give us place to these people who are escaping, they're fleeing.
with many people willing to take in families, such as Michelle Godet, who's done this before.
We met through PG for Ukraine website. Right now I have the privilege of having the space available, and I have the time right now to help out, and it's the least I could do.
For more information on how to get involved in supporting the Share Hope Refugee Sponsorship Committee, send an email to pg.sharehope@gmail.com. Anthony Correa, CKPG News.
Now time for a very Prince George discussion. It doesn't get much more PG-centric than Mr. PG. And of course, with new surroundings around the big man, where do you move him? Do you move him? That was a discussion dominating City Council and tourism folks for the better part of this year. For Tourism PG, a new location for a visitor information center has been something talked about for years.
Yeah, always a hot topic of conversation. So, I mean, just the way Prince George is set up, the visitor center location, it's tough to find the perfect spot.
For those coming in from the east or going east, it's convenient, sure. But for those taking Highway 97, it's not. And any big kind of train travel is more or less of a distant memory. So where do you move it then? That was the question stemming a recent report completed for tourism.
Definitely look at a few different options. So I guess when we're talking about a visitor center, there's a couple different ways that we want to support visitors. So we either want to be so convenient that people can't help but stop, or we want to be offering something that they will go out of their way to make sure they stop at.
A new trend identified in the report is visitor centers partnering with attractions of some kind, which ultimately equals more foot traffic. Councillor Brian Skaken has an idea on what one of those must-stop attractions might be for us. Arguably, Prince George's signature symbol.
And as you can see in the back there, we've kind of built around Mr. PG, and the fact that we could probably move this and build a new tourism information center, I would hope in the close proximity would be great news.
So with the discussion now started on where to potentially relocate Mr. PG, Prince George's biggest symbol, maybe it's as simple as a move here across the highway to where he used to be. Or maybe you move the big guy to a place like Clayton Memorial Park. You got plenty around here. The Exploration Place, the attractions in the park, a common space to draw visitors and potentially tourists to take pics with Mr. PG.
That's something that as an organization, we see the value of Mr. PG. People want to go visit him, want to take pictures with him.
And if you ask Skaken, he already has a spot in mind.
Right across the street. I mean, we'd have to talk to John Major, but I think if we had it too far south, east or west, I mean, we wouldn't get all the traffic. If we had it right in this particular intersection, then we'd get traffic from all four directions, so I think it'd be great.
According to Tourism PG, there are some access issues at the major junction, and that could be confusing for some. Although it's worth noting, nothing has been ruled out yet. Only time will tell to see if the big guy will have a big move in the future. Caden Fanshaw, CKPG News. Earlier this year, a local couple stepped away from the traditional way of building a home. Instead of using wood, they used rammed earth. Yes, you heard me right, rammed earth for the first ever rammed earth home Northern BC has ever seen. Dave Branco brings us more now on a special, truly Northern BC moment.
A rammed earth home is constructed of compacted soil molded between plywood forms. The goal is to make the home with energy-efficient material without negatively affecting the environment.
You pour it in the layers that you can see, and then we used pneumatic air tampers and tacked it down hard, and then you just build it up layer by layer by layer.
The thick walls help insulate the interior from the heat in the summer and cold in the winter.
So you get very little fluctuation in the temperature of the interior of the house. So in a conventional stick frame house, if you leave your door open for an hour, it cools off and then it takes a really long time to heat it back up. A house like this will heat back up again in like 10 minutes because all the heat will just come out of all of the walls around. So
the construction of Northern BC's first rammed earth home began last summer.
Part of our build, we had crew here and students from all over the world, and one of our crew members was kind enough to take some video and post it online, and As a result of that, we've had interest from up north in Smithers. We've had interest from other people in town here. The idea is catching on slowly but surely here in British Columbia, but it's especially prevalent in places like Australia.
According to these builders, the home will never need painting, and it can last up to 500 years, if not more.
It takes minimal upkeep, if any, and you just keep the rain away from it, the moisture away from it, and it's not going anywhere. So yes, it's here for us, but it's also here for many, many, many generations to come, and it was built with that in mind.
The home build follows many of the same methods used several thousand years ago. It also falls in line with the modern building codes. The goal is to have the home completed this summer. Dave Branco, CKPG News.
Coming up next year on Northern BC Moments, things get a little bit fishy. Stay with us to find out how. Welcome back here to Northern BC Moments. And how about this moment? You might remember when salmon, who normally swim up the Nechako River, took a pit stop here in Prince George. It made for a special moment in a local creek, but also made for one of the most popular stories throughout the entire year on our website. Dave Branco explains more on the urban salmon.
Salmon sightings are an exciting sign, especially at McMillan Creek Park, once known as spawning grounds.
However, when we see them in a little feeder creek like McMillan, which traditionally holds salmon, it's not necessarily a good thing here because, to be honest, the sockeye, they're stressed out. They're taking a little offshoot from being held up at Big Bar and Hell's Gate and all those impediments that are further down the line.
These salmon started their freshwater journey from the lower mainland. The high water in the Nechako River makes watching the sockeye much easier.
700, 800K already, but by being held up at Big Bar by the slide, they've exerted themselves by the time they're here. So they're hitting a pullout lane and trying to finish their life cycle before it's done for them in the main stem of the Nechako before they get to their natal creeks.
Many salmon passing are expected to travel a few more 100 kilometers.
There seems to be high numbers of sockeye that are getting passed up here, which is a great sign, but these runs are cyclical, right? The numbers we're seeing up here are expected to be high because we had a high run 5 years ago. That's just a symptom of good run health, not necessarily a species health up here.
The sockeye salmon run is expected to end in the next 2 weeks, and there is no opening for sockeye in the region. Dave Branco, CKPG News.
Speaking of the Nechako River, it was the site of a very special sturgeon release a little earlier this year in Vanderhoof. Of course, it doesn't get more northern BC than this. Hundreds of children on the shores releasing sturgeon that hopefully will grow into big fish one day. Cheryl Jan has more from the Hoof.
The squeals of delight could be heard along the shores of the Nechako River in Vanderhoof today. It's the annual Nechako White Sturgeon Release, a program that is overseen by Freshwater Fisheries BC.
This is a big deal for our organization. It's a big deal for the Nechako River and a key part of the recovery of the sturgeon population.
And adding children to the mix is key to the future of the program.
It's such a big part of the community. To me, it's a fantastic thing to see kids coming from all the different parts of the catchment. These are the future stewards of this resource, so to introduce them to this now, to have them see a sturgeon, name a sturgeon, this will stay with them for years, and they can track the progress of their sturgeon as it's caught in subsequent sampling and see how it grows. But yeah, the future of the recovery is based on the kids and becoming stewards.
Since the first sturgeon release more than a decade ago, the program has grown exponentially, from humble beginnings with school children from Vanderhoof to hundreds of school kids from all across the region. And there's a newcomer to this event. Spruce City Wildlife is on hand this year, adding salmon fry to the release.
The previous coordinator for the sturgeon release reached out to us, and we've been doing the salmon releases and the run in the hatchery in Prince George, and just thought that it was a good opportunity to kind of not only partner up but just expand on that education component of salmon and sturgeon, how they relate to each other and how they both benefit from each other's presence.
The recovery efforts were launched all those years ago when there were concerns about the fate of the Nechako white sturgeon and its addition to the federal endangered species list.
So this is a stopgap measure to try to conserve the population while work on habitat is undertaken to get the spawning gravels back so they'll support a healthy, self-sustaining population. So this is a key component of the recovery, but it's one piece of many pieces.
And these efforts have put a sizable dent in getting the species off that list, and programs like this one are helping.
The plan is for it to come off the list. The plan is for this population to become self-sustaining and manage itself naturally without an intervention like a hatchery required. So the hatchery is a component of a broader recovery plan, and within that recovery plan it lays out a number of steps and a number of things that have to be done to bring back the population. So the sturgeon hatchery was envisaged as a 20-year intervention.
While the recovery program is serious business and has been for many years, today was all about the kids and the bonds they form with these spiny prehistoric creatures. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.
Do you like fish? Well, there's no way that you like them as much as this group of locals who caught the community by storm by sharing their story, the joy of koi. This one, definitely an unforgettable Northern BC moment.
Wait till they get older before you actually get their true color. Yeah. But you got the modern one, which is the orange one. But
These three pet fish enthusiasts are not coy when it comes to chatting about their unique backyard hobby.
Koi keeping or any kind of fish keeping, fish people will tell you that it's not about keeping fish, it's about keeping water. Because if the water isn't right, you're going to kill them. And believe me, I've killed my fair share of fish. I hate to say it, but as you learn, it's about keeping water. And the better the water is, the better the fish will do.
Here they come 2 by 2 down here.
Maintaining a koi pond takes the skills of a gardener and understanding the needs of these colored creatures.
Mine can hear my footsteps and come up for feeding. They know it's food because I will overfeed them more or less with lots of treats. The fish, other than fish pellets, they like oranges, watermelons, they like French loaf bread. They love peas. These fish do get big. They can get over 3 feet. If you notice, he's got no blemishes. He's beautiful. See the coloring? There's no bleeding of the scales. So that is points for him.
Many backyard ponds are designed to create a tranquil place that includes a constant display of color with a combination of fish and plants.
And you can hear the water trickling in the background. It's kind of nice and peaceful and quiet. Gets rid of the noise from the city. If you're in that area, it kind of deadens that noise. It gives you a little bit of a background noise so you can relax.
Look at the shine on this.
Having a pond and a production like this was a lot more popular in the early 90s. Now the pool of people like Clark is shrinking.
Years back we used to have pond tours. We'd rent 2 or 3 buses and go around the town and feature, let's say, 8 or 10 ponds and have a great Sunday and drive around and show people the ponds. It was a great time.
According to these local koi hobbyists, their pets will reward them with years of visual pleasure, just like they have all over the world for many good reasons. Dave Branco, CKPG News.
Coming up after the break here on Northern BC Moments, one reporter takes things to new heights at the Vanderhoof Air Show. Welcome back. The Vanderhoof Air Show returned to a post-pandemic world in a big way this past summer, welcoming thousands back to the airport. It certainly made for a special Northern BC moment, and it also made for a very special moment for our reporter, Jack Clark, who got the thrill of a lifetime.
The fans were flying by the seat of their pants Saturday for the Vanderhoof Air Show.
Actually, the buzz around town has been incredible, and our pilots, they kind of did a bit of a mini air show last night over the river. Got a lot of people in town hyped up and super excited about today's event. And everybody, as you can tell, they're pouring in here, and right now the excitement is very high.
It's super exciting because we got a great volunteer team, we got a great community, and as you see, we are getting great turnout today.
And it isn't just the fans who love the event.
we have a group of people who will go out of their way to make sure the pilots have an extra good time here. Last night there's a pilot-only party. Thursday night there's a welcoming for them. We make sure that they are comfortable, that they can do the act they want to do.
Believe it or not, Vanderhoof is known in the airshow community as the biggest small-town air show. With the small shows, it's a lot more personal. We get a lot more one-on-one time with the audience after we're done flying.
While there was dozens of historic planes in the skies this weekend, the most unique belonged to Kyle Fowler.
Yeah, so this is my funny little backwards airplane that I fly for air shows. It's a very unconventional aircraft to fly air shows in, but it's because it's unconventional that makes it such a great air show airplane. It just looks really funny flying backwards through the sky.
And after getting a taste of the Vanderhoof air at over 2,000 feet, it's easy to see why pilots fall in love with northern BC.
The connections that we make at a small town are just so much more impactful than when we're at a large air show.
CKPG News.
Still to come on Northern BC Moments, something many will never forget, a Major League debut for the ages. Welcome back. Not only was it a special year at the Olympics for Prince George athletes, it was also a special year on the diamond. Prince George's Jared Young made his debut in the major leagues, making for a special moment for his friends and his family.
20 minutes before the game, he goes, "Hey, you're not playing today." And initially Jared was like, that's weird, because Jared's pretty much an everyday player down there in Iowa. And then Marty goes on to say, that's because you're going up to the big leagues. And
Jared Young has officially made it to the majors, starting today's game versus the Rockies at first base, becoming the first ever player born in Prince George to play in an MLB game and record a hit.
There it is, first big league hit for Jared Young as the ball spills out of Tolia's glove and he's into second.
Not only did Young record a hit in his at-bats, he also made a couple of tremendous plays at first base, helping the team register some outs.
On the ground, Morrell handles that, fires on the move, good pick again.
It's something that Young's teammates back in Prince George always knew he was capable of.
Watching the journey Jared's been on, the way he plays on, like every year he's moved up the next level from his college to Div 1, 2, 3 as he's progressed through the ranks, and you know it's no surprise at this point that he's finally made it as watching the way he's progressed.
He was always the best player on our team. In provincials or in any big game we had we needed to win, he would bat second, third, and pitch a complete game.
Young started here in Prince George, making his way up to college, AAA, and then the show. However, before the big stages, Young started here at Citizen Field with the Prince George Youth Baseball Association. The president of the PGYBA, Frank Peebles, says it's been a great thing to see Young's journey.
I'm just so thrilled for Jared because this is something that can never be taken away from him. Once you cross that line and get the call up, that's it. Now you're a major league player for the rest of your life. Whether you're up, down, or on a different team, doesn't matter. This is great for Prince George. Super exciting for Jared.
Young also never forgot his roots, coming home from college to help kids train at Northern Baseball Training here in Prince George. It's something owner Doug Clark appreciates and says that Young making his MLB debut today has opened up opportunities for other kids looking to make the big leagues.
It's amazing for him. I'm super proud of him. He's worked very, very hard. It's just huge for kids in Prince George and in Canada. He's just a prime example that it doesn't matter where you come from, that anything's possible if you work hard and believe in yourself. Because I mean, he played on the same team that all the kids in Prince George played on.
The Cubs did end up winning the game 2-1, and Young will look to be a regular in the lineup going forward.
How about that for history being made by Northern BC athletes? Certainly a cool moment. Doesn't get much cooler than that. Congratulations to Jared Young. Thanks so much for joining us here on Northern BC Moments on CKPG-TV. We hope you had as much fun as we did. Happy holidays to you and your family. Goodbye for now.